America. I love the Constitution. I love the First Amendment. I want to carry and all guns. I love property. And let me tell you something. If you care about your country, read Ludwig von Mises and the 6 lessons of the Austrian Economic School, motherfuckers.
From the streets of Melrose Park to the trading floor of the Merc, he's fought for every dollar he's ever earned. And now, with personal liberty and our system of capitalism under assault in America, he's here to seize back our rights from the government. With a cigar in one hand and a copy of the Declaration of Independence in the other, he's Shaun Thompson. And this is the Shaun Thompson Show.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag. Ooh, they're red, white, and blue.
Now, I have to tell you, I so enjoy our conversations with our next guest. And I know it's going to upset you, but he's so wicked smart, I can't wait to have the conversation. You see, I've been following him since I learned of his existence. I was a big fan of the dad. And when you realize what the son has done, making the old man proud is the least of it. He's quite accomplished in his own rights. He's the author of many, many books. He's an expert in acquisitions, intellectual property, white-collar crime, First Amendment, employment discrimination, you name it, if it has to do with business in America. Robert Bork Jr. understands it. The new book is called The New Paradox, Antitrust and the Threat of Conservative Socialism. I love the title. Robert Bork Jr., how are you, handsome?
I'm just fine. As soon as I'm done with you, I'm having a cigar.
Oh, I'm having one right. Well, this is number 7. I love it because there's a difference between living and surviving. And I do a lot of thinking when I smoke. And I have been thinking about an article I read that I'm not happy about. Commerce Department quietly announces 7 new equity stakes in private companies. Now, here's the thing. They're already our partner. You know, the only people who ever made money understand it. The government's your partner, but only when times are good. Not when times are bad. When times are good, they take your money. Now, we could argue about how they take your money and what the rights are to money. It's a very interesting argument. But the idea that the government has a stake in a company, well, then it's not a company. It's an arm of the government. It's not capitalism. It's not even corporatism. That is socialism. And it's quiet because it should be us that scream the loudest. And I'm wondering, I understand, too, Trump is an anomaly, right? Because he speaks New York. I speak New York. New Yorkers speak in half sentences and innuendo. They think you understand what they're talking about. So when he was talking about tariffs, I was livid in the beginning, and then I finished the sentence until we get to free trade, right? So I'm going to do what they do until we get to free trade. Then I felt better about it. I don't know how you're going to do that with this. I don't want the Commerce Department to have stakes in companies because that means they lose money when the companies lose money, theoretically. Or they guarantee the company never loses money. I don't like it either way. Do you?
No. I would love to think that there could come a time when we could help out, Chrysler or General Motors, because we can't afford to lose the auto companies. But those things didn't work out. I mean, they saved the companies, but we lost money on the deals. I believe, at least on the Chrysler deal. I think General Motors maybe paid it back quickly. But the idea that the government should pick winners and losers, I think we may have talked about this, Shaun. The idea that Trump wanted to buy Spirit Airlines. He wanted to get 90% of Spirit Airlines. And luckily for American taxpayers, the guys who owned the debt on Spirit said, I don't think so. We're just gonna sell off the parts.
And I had you on when the Biden administration was crushing the opportunity for Spirit to do what companies need to do, which is grow or die. And they were merging.
That was a free market solution,
right,
compared to what Trump wanted to do, which was a government-imposed solution.
Right. And, the thing, too, I think, though, you gotta keep in perspective what I think is. And I think it's good intentions. This reminds me of all of the reasons I would get in arguments with my family. You might have the best intentions when you try to solve corrupt problems, but to play right into the corrupt hands is the wrong move. And what I mean by that is Scott Bessent knew, these are not dummies. These are smart guys. Exactly what had happened to Spirit Airlines, that they had been knuckled under because of an agreement with so many other airlines and the government. and they were going to keep them from growing so that the other companies that were in with the government didn't have any competition, and it worked. And instead of making up for it by, I don't know if you wanted to finance it would have been better, but to try and take 90% was crazy. So I think sometimes he tries to make up for a wrong, and it's the wrong move. At least that's what I'd like to think. But when you have this new position where we're trying to keep control of the chips, of IT, of AI, and the rest of it, and you make the government a partner in companies, that isn't even, I mean, that is outrageous. And it just happened today. $870 million in federal incentive for semiconductor conductor manufacturing in exchange for a minority equity stake in 7 companies. I do not like any of that. Why is that even there? You want to, this is the other thing too about the Federal Reserve. You negate the idea that people can borrow money at different interest rates, so you force everybody into this problem. Instead of just saying, look, you need the $870 million, we'll give you a 1% loan on $870 million for 30 years. What's wrong with that? But I'm going to take a position. How is it even legal for the government to do this?
Well, you got me. I don't know how it's legal. I sure as hell doesn't make any sense because when does the government actually run something well? I mean, even the military, which I think is a fantastic organization, the Pentagon, they do great things. They defend us. They negotiate. They design and through DARPA wonderful defensive and offensive weapons to keep us free. But we're now out of them. We've run out. So I think the government really, really has only a very narrow range of being a good manager, and because it's not their money.
No,
that's what
they
it
don't
is.
have any money. That's the other thing. They have no money. They're broke.
Right.
They're bankrupt. It's ghettonomics. It's like watching these idiots in Chicago pretend they have money. You don't have any fracking money. You don't have the $870 million. You're running, they call it a deficit. You're running a bankruptcy. You're managing bankruptcy. And where'd you get the 870? And the answer is they printed it. They made it up. Here's another 870. Drinks are on the house. I mean, there is no fundamental, any fundamental economics in this play. None. And the whole idea who well, there is no government. There's only people. So who's going to reap the rewards? And that's going to be the cover. They'll say that any profits will go towards the debt. But how do we know that? They also said there was a Social Security lockbox. There's no such thing. So this is another cover story that smart people, they call themselves conservatives in some cases, smart people are going to have to put mustard on and eat. And what's the pushback? Where are the senators and the congressmen? I think it's because not many of them understand what this is, and the ones who do want in on it. What do you think?
I think you're absolutely right. I'm not sure that any of these people on the Hill really know where the money comes from, where it goes, and how the hell are we going to get it back? Besides the how many trillion, 40 some odd trillion in debt we have, and the budget deficit every year. There's over 100 million in unfunded liabilities. We are playing with funny money. And the idea, did you just see that Trump announced that he's cutting back on prescription drug benefits for those of us on Medicare, Part D? Well, I guess maybe he's trying to slide that one by.
Well, I think he
go crazy.
If I read it correctly, the offset would be if you go to that Trump RX and the rest of it. But, you call me crazy. I'm a Ben Franklin myself. I'm not going to be on any medication, except every once in a while I'll get a lap dance, make my blood pressure either go up or down when I need it. But it's, yes. Well, first of all, I'm an anti-Medicare guy in the first place. I really am. I'm an anti-all this stuff guy. If you really want to get down to it, I'm a fundamental capitalist in the John Lockean sense of the word of I don't want the government to do anything. So this is particularly annoying, and it's also a fraud because you're taking currency you don't have. You're creating a problem that could, in essence, make bad economic numbers where they don't need to be. You're fluffing up a company, and you're not being specific with me what the equity is. What is it? Are you taking stock? Are you taking preferred stock? Are you taking ownership? Are you taking a seat on the board? What exactly are you getting, and who's going to manage it when Trump's not in office? That's the other part of the problem, right? You say conservative socialism, and what you really mean is we tolerate an abuse of a principle because we like the guys in there, but we're only 4 years away from a rotation where there's going to be the other morons in there potentially. So I don't like there's no specificity to what this really represents other than an unqualified, never going to get paid back loan of which nobody's going to oversee.
You're absolutely right, as you always are.
Thanks. Thanks. I appreciate it. Let me tell you something. Right now, my wife is somewhere throwing something at something. It's an interesting issue of how quiet everything is. This should be something that we at least demand an answer to. And I like the people I'm demanding answers. I'm not arguing with you. I would love for Scott Bessent, sell me this. Tell me why I'm wrong. Don't you think they owe that to us?
Do I think they owe what to us?
They owe you. At least sell it to me. At least sell it to me.
Oh.
How do they even do this without this being in a bill or this being in a law or this being something? I was mad when they were cramming through trillions of dollars for green energy, but at least they crammed it through. This is just, I'm going to take $870 million and I'm going to buy an equity stake in this company. And who am I? And where's the equity go? I don't know. I don't like that. How much money can they do this with? How much can they do without a bill?
They have all the money, and if they don't, they'll print more. So they can do anything they want.
Well, boy, that sounds a lot like Soviet Union, right? I mean, here we are. We're getting all ready to fight these socialists in New York, and the chick in Wisconsin who's really funny because her and her husband had a restaurant that went bankrupt, shut the doors. I know, let's make her the governor of Wisconsin. That should turn out famously. And you look at all of this stuff that goes on with the money that's misappropriated that they're supposed to have accountability on. I mean it. I don't like that they just had $870 million and said we're taking a stake in the company and nobody gets a word on it. You really backdoor nationalized the right to money, the purse, the public purse. Why isn't this being challenged?
If you're asking me why it's not being challenged, it's because I don't think people really pay that much attention to this kind of stuff, and they don't understand it, and the schools aren't teaching them how to balance their checkbooks or anything that would help them, or basic civics to make them understand what's going on. What they get, they watch CNN or one of those other things, and even Fox News to a great degree is kind of.
Oh, I've lost a lot of respect.
Yeah,
I've lost a lot of respect for Fox. I really have. But this particular issue is something where you're going to tell me where there's other examples of this that I was unaware of. I mean, although, listen, the reality is I believe every policy the government perpetrates is not constitutional. But where are some great examples of conservative socialism, aside from the fact we pretend that Obamacare is anything other than the backdoor nationalization of health care in general? But where's other examples of conservatives saying, I got an idea, let's be socialists and we'll call it capitalism?
Exactly. No, it just on this matter of buying things. The federal government has taken equity stakes in what do they call it? Metals. The rare earth metals. Yeah, at least two companies. I've got shares in NVIDIA. They've got shares in Intel. They've got shares in so many things. And what are they? Part of the problem also for me is not just that they're taking shares in those things, but does that mean that those companies are going to get favored nation status in Washington? Are they going to? Are they going to get deals that the other companies aren't going to get because we don't own a piece of them?
They have to. In essence, they have to. We have a shared interest. This is the problem with it. It gets convoluted. And, the other problem with it is they have immunity from reality. This is why I go crazy with anything green energy, right? Because there's trillions of dollars that are missing. You have companies that have stock. Rivian is always my favorite to go to because it's absolutely preposterous that they pretend that's anything other than a shell game. But this really is an example of what happens when you have so much debt. People tell you we're going to help you by making us partners, and they don't tell me how, right? Because that's going to be the excuse. The only conclusion I can come to, and the only reason that this is even floated is, look, we got a $40 trillion debt. We need to have this equity stake, or somebody else will have the equity stake, or China will get a bigger advantage, because this is what China does. By the way, this is exactly what China does. And all of a sudden, when this company makes money, well, some of it will go to the debt. Well, how do I know? This is the other thing. You keep treating people like children, and after a while, they start calling you mommy and daddy. This is really, you're treating us like children. I want to know how, when, where was the vote, what's the specificity, how many shares, are it dividends, where does the dividend money go? I don't like it. I don't like it at all, And I haven't heard anybody but me and you talk about it. And this happened, what, 3 days ago, 4 days ago, and was consummated today or yesterday?
Yeah. Look, when markets become political, success doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter. It doesn't depend on pleasing consumers. It depends on pleasing Washington. So all of these companies, have to worry about making sure that the Commerce Department, Donald Trump, Scott Bessent, that they're happy with what we're doing. And, damn the consumers, damn the people who buy their products.
And it prevents a collapse, right? It really does.
Right.
There's these markets. So the whole thing of IT and AI and all the rest of it, it's a bubble. No, it's not. Not anymore. Not anymore. I mean, you think back to all of the great crashes, and crashes are great because it weeds out the lie and it gives opportunity to the new. People forget this. The .com crash was the best thing to ever happen to America and the internet. All of the other thing was a fraud. So what happens now if AI, in fact, is a bubble? Well, now it'll never be a bubble, because if you're telling me the American government has a vested interest in AI companies, well, it has to do something. But the other side of the coin is it also can control the success of it, not just the failure of it. It can control the success. In essence, what this can do is assure that AI is never released the one place it should be released, first and foremost, on government, right? Because the minute AI is released on government spending, first thing it's going to do is say, this company that I'm a part of isn't really a company, and it's certainly not valued at where it is, because we now have almost $1 billion in stock that we should never have, right?
Shaun, I fear that you're going to be so right, and that the consequences are going to be really dire when we at least be dead. Is this something my grandfather grandkid has to take care of? Because as long as we're dead afterwards, we'll take the canes. We'll be dead. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead. I was just thinking of the movie Colossus: The Forbin Project. They're going to decide Washington isn't really working out, so we're just going to pave it over. The
New York
bulldozers are going to come.
New York is deciding that anyway. The Fourth Reich, calling themselves Democrat Socialists, they should love this. They should love this. They should actually run on this, don't you think?
I wish they would just disappear and have their beer hall meetings and call it a night.
When you were doing the book, what examples did you really decimate? I mean, this is new news. When you wrote the book, what were you using as motivation to say, are you aware that this has happened under what was called conservative? And I'm going to guess a lot of it happened under the Bushies.
Yeah, but a lot of it was happening. The thing was shocking to us. My colleague Mark Davis and I, it was shocking to us was just how much of the Lena Khan, socialist, actually Marxist philosophy was leaking into the Republican Party. That they were going, yeah, we should do that. Yeah, we don't like big. We don't like success. That's the key. The left, the Marxists don't like successful companies. And again, that's what the Republicans are sort of lurching toward all the time, because and they got tricked into it because many of those companies were trying to control speech for their left-wing friends. But that's changed a lot. Meta and X and all that. It's changed a lot now. But we just like beating up on big things, and people. I think voters generally forever have been nervous about big things, big companies.
Well, it just reminds me, right? It's always the argument, the Fabians versus the Marxists. That's it. That's exactly what's happening. The Fabians are now the Republicans. They have been for decades. But it's really that it's not that we're opposed to government ownership and intervention and control. It's that we just don't like you. This is something. This is something that I can't wait to go through the book. Is it out now?
It's been out for a couple of months, and you can get it on that big tech company Amazon. That's where I sell it. They give me a good deal, so I'm very happy.
He's got to be nervous. He's got to be nervous right now. He's got to be very, very nervous. When you look at the benefit to mankind Jeff Bezos has done. Think about it. His mother was 17 when she got knocked up with him. and you look at what he did, how many Americans and around the world, people he made rich, that could have never happened if the government had a piece of that company, could it?
No, absolutely not. And I just had a piece yesterday in his Washington Post talking about this very problem of what this administration has done in a kind of conservative socialist vein. So maybe we should talk about that sometime.
We got to have a cigar with Trump. Me, you, Besson, and Trump, we ironed this whole thing out. Are you in?
Yeah, I'm in. Sure, Shaun. Absolutely. That'll happen.
In the meantime, the new book is called The New Paradox, Antitrust and the Threat of Conservative Socialism. It's out now. He is Robert Bork, Jr. Thank you for always making time for me, my friend. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Anytime.
Thank you. We'll be back with your calls and comments.
Make money, smoke cigars, and live free on The Shaun Thompson Show on AM 560. The Answer.
Your kitchen's outdated. Your bathroom feels cramped. Every day you wait, prices go up. And you keep